This is CJ Baker, and this is an epic soundtrack to a mundane existence. So over on my website, Ongoing History of ProtestSongs.com, I recently posted a list of the top 100 protest albums of the 90s. So I thought it would be fun to compare my list to rate your music. So rate your music, you could filter by descriptors because protest is not considered a music genre, but you can use it as a descriptor. So these are the top 100 albums that use protest as a descriptor. And I'm just gonna give my responses to these albums and compare it to the list I made. So before we get to number 100, 102 is Bikini Kill and Huggy Bear Split. And I do like this album, but I had a different Huggy Bear album, a different Bikini Kill album that made my 100 list. And 101, Sick of It All, I had a different Sick of It All album that made my 100 list. So it'd be interesting to see if any of these bands have a different album that made the top 100. The Lynch Mob, Gorillas in the Mist, excellent album, made my top 100. Universal Motto by Sinead O'Connor. I do like this album. I believe I have it rated as 4 stars on Rate Your Music, but it did not make my top 100. It's possibly an oversight, but it does have the song Famine, which is about the island potato famine. And there's also another song, Fire on Babylon. Was it Fire on Babylon? I think it's Fire on Babylon. Not sure if it's an explicit protest song, but Babylon can be symbolic of false religion and religious hypocrisy is something that Sinead O'Connor has discussed on her music a few times. And also Babylon and the Rastafarian religion could represent government as well. So it possibly could be a protest song in that context. And also concerning Sinead O'Connor, I do have a list of 15 Sinead O'Connor protest songs on my website, so you can check that out. Ongoing history of protestsongs.com. So let's see how many times I do the shameless plug throughout the video. So we'll scroll a bit more. We can get my scrolling thingy working. So we got 98. Not familiar with it. Looks like it's another language. That might be something to check out. 97. Get tongue tied, but Sacred Reich, The American Way. I am familiar with the band name, but haven't listened to an album by them. That might be something to check out. Okay, 96. Another album I haven't listened to that we might need to check out. 95. Negative Land, which I've heard some of the stuff, but I've never listened to a whole album. So I'm gonna have to check that out. Okay, another album I haven't listened to. So hopefully we don't have too many albums I haven't listened to, because that'd be kind of a boring reaction video. But let's keep going. Yeah, I haven't heard this album. Okay, this album I heard. Love this album. Made my top 100 list. Tricks of the Shade. It's a bit of an overlook album because even here it only has 425 ratings, so it's a little bit below the radar. But this is an excellent kind of jazzy rap album, and it's a bit of a concept album. So it's kind of a cool concept as well. And it is the kind of, I don't want to say that they're comparable to the Roots, but similar in the fact that it's actual band playing music. So it's kind of like a hip hop band, which is kind of cool. So I do enjoy this album. Okay, it's Tory Teenage Riot, which I don't think I've listened to a specific album. And I've never got into a Tory Teenage Riot, but I am familiar with them. Okay, Tershilo Buju Banton. This actually did make my top 100 list. Excellent album. Then we got 89, sorry. Time's Up, Living Cuddle. Really good album. Not quite as good as they debut, but this did make my top 100. And if I ever get around to doing an 80s list, their debut album would definitely make that list. So we got 88, not familiar with it, thrash metal. And sometimes people don't give metal the credit it deserves when it comes to socially conscious and political music. And on my website, once again, shameless plug, ongoing history of protest songs.com. I actually have a list of 100 heavy metal protest songs with only one song per artist. They also have a list of 50 heavy metal protest albums with one album per artist. So you can check that out on the website as well. 87, another Tory Teenage Riot album. So I definitely gonna have to do a bit more of a dive into them. Okay, we got Capitalist Casualties, and I think that's the second album by them as well. So I'm gonna have to check that out. Propaganda. I do like Propaganda. Less Talk, More Rock. That actually did make my top 100 list. So we got 83, did not listen to. Okay, didn't listen to, which I do have to acknowledge. Non-English albums can be a little bit of a blind spot. So let's see what else we got. Yeah, same thing. So a few albums to dive in. Number 80, Royal Soul. I'm not familiar with that album. So yeah, there's tons of albums I'm gonna have to check out. Yeah, I haven't listened to this album. I haven't listened to that album. I haven't listened to that album. Okay, Vitology Pearl Jam. This actually did not make my list, but their album Versus did. But yeah, it's an excellent album. It's just I don't think it's works as a protest album quite the same way as Versus did. Um, yeah, I haven't listened to that album. Earth Crisis. Yeah, this did not make my list. But I don't mind any of Earth Crisis that I've listened to. They're all pretty radical. But yeah, we'll continue. No need to argue by the Cranberries. Not even sure if I consider this to be an overly political album, but of course it has Zombie, which is a very well-known protest song. Yeah, not familiar with this album. Not familiar with this album. Refused. I do like this album. But on my list, I had a different Refused album. I won't say it because it still might be on this list because I think that album's more well known than this album. Okay, not familiar with this album. Yeah, um, yeah, I believe I have at least one song by them on my 100 heavy metal protest songs. So let's see. Okay, Fela Kuti and the Egypt 80. Yeah, I haven't listened to this album, Napalm Death. I don't mind Napalm Death, and a lot of the stuff is political. And I do have a song and album of theirs on my heavy metal list, but not this one. Okay, another Royal Soul. I think it's the second time they showed up. Not familiar with this. Not familiar with this. Not familiar with this. Yeah, I am familiar here, but it did not make my list. Okay, we'll keep scrolling. Oh, we got some classical music. Yeah, it could be interesting to check out. Disclose. Yeah, I don't believe I listened to this album during my 94 deep dive. Machine Head, I did listen to this. Trying if I had a 3.5 or 4 stars. But yeah, I didn't mind the album. Okay, The Crew. This was this album on my top 100? I know Genocide and Juice was. Um, but yeah, I do like the album. I basically like every album they did, and I'm a fan of Boots Riley. Okay, I'm listening to this album. Yeah, keep scrolling. Okay, Jamiroquai. Yeah, I really like this album. There's a couple of really good protest songs on it, and it did make my 100 list. Okay, I've been listening to that. But yeah, as I mentioned, some of the non-English stuff is a blind spot. So I'm gonna have to do a deeper dive into that. So let's see, another Royal Soul. So I really gonna have to do a dive into them because that might be a big blind spot. Skinny Puppy. I do like Skinny Puppy, even though that did not make my list. Okay, Uncle Tubalo. I don't think I specifically listened to this album, but I do like Wilco. And then what's the name of the other? Ah, I can't remember the name of the other band that came from Uncle Tupelo. Yeah, I'm gonna kick myself about that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give that album a good listen. Okay, so we now got number 40. So The Predator by Ice Cube. So yeah, this one did not make my list. I think his like 1990 album. I don't want to say too much because I want you people to check out the list as well. But I did have an Ice Cube album on my list. Okay, did not listen to that. Did not listen to that. Yeah, I did not listen to that. So yeah, there's a lot to check out. It's almost embarrassing how much of this I haven't listened to. These I know when I did the 100 best albums of all time, I think there was more that I've listened to. But what it does mean is that there's a lot for me to discover here. I'll probably still post a video because there'll be for those interested in protest music, there's a lot of albums that you can be introduced to. Yeah, Stereo Lab. Yeah, I don't think I listened to that specific album. I've listened to some of the stuff. Okay, versus Pearl Jam. This did make my list of top 100. Yeah, and there is the like a couple of really good protest songs like Lo-Fi G immediately pops in my head. Okay, another Paris album. I think that's at least the second album that he had. Okay, Genocide and Juice. I mentioned that previously, and that was on my top 100. Okay, KOS one, Return of the Boom Bap. That did make my top 100. Evil Empire, Rage Against the Machine. It missed my top 100, but only because I decided to have a maximum of two albums for artists. So it looks like we're going to see the two albums from Rage Against the Machine that made my list. So 28, Battle of Los Angeles. That did make my top 100. But basically, when it comes to deciding what album's better between the two, it's basically a coin toss. They're both excellent albums. So let's scroll a bit more. Okay, did not listen to this album. Yeah, I did not listen to that album. Did not listen to that album. Okay, Ghetto Boys. Um, I don't mind some of the Ghetto Boys stuff, but I'm not necessarily a huge Oracle fan, but I do like some of it. Because I got into a little bit more actually through a newer act with like clip-ins because they had a couple of or clip-in. They had a couple of Oracle concept albums that I really enjoyed. So I'm starting to explore a little bit more like Grave Diggers and stuff like that. But yeah, I never really got into the Ghetto Boys. Okay, Ice Cube, that's the one that made my top 100. So that's good to see that there. Excellent album. Okay, I've not listened to it. Okay, there we go. Steal This Album. That made my top 100 as well. And like I said, I'm a fan, and I'm a fan of Boots Riley. Okay, Chaos AD, Sepultura. That also made my top 100. And I had another Sepultura album on my list as well. Let's see if it makes it on here. Okay, did not listen to that album. Did not listen to that album. I've listened to have I listened to this album? But yeah, Kino is a very influential Russian band. I think they're basically considered to be the most important influential Western band. And the lead singer died at a young age. Is it 26 or 28? Yeah, I don't quite remember. I've read some of the stuff and I like it. It's good, but it's in the Russian language. Okay, did not listen to that. Okay, another Ice Cube album. This one did not make my list, but I do like the album as well, so it might have been an oversight on my part. So let's see what else. Okay, Diggable Planets. I do really like this album. It did make my list. Excellent album. Goody Mob. I do like the album, but it did miss my list. I've just actually listened to it or re-listened to it recently because I'm currently doing a 1995 deep dive. So let's see what else. Okay. And on the Kill Takeoff Fugazi. Excellent album. Try to remember because I did have two Fugazi albums on my list. I think this was one of them. Let's see if the other one makes it because I like the other one better. Okay, System of a Down. This made my list. Excellent album. Okay, Fear of a Black Planet. It'd be weird for there to only be one Public Enemy album, but I think this one's better than the other one. But we'll see. I'm not going to say what the other one is yet, just in case it is on here. But I did have two Public Enemy albums on my list. Okay, that album did not make it. The La Soul Stakes is high. Yeah, I think that's an oversight on my part because it is a really good album. I probably like a couple of the other albums better. It's just whether or not they quite meet the definition of protest. So let's see. Okay, there we go. Because I mentioned how if the other album by Refused made it, this definitely should. I love this album. The Shape of Punk to Come and New Noise is an all-time banger. So yeah, I'm happy to see that there. Really good album, made my top 100 list. So let's go up some more. Okay. Think about Planets, Blowout Comb. Do you really like this album? It made my top 100 list. I did make my top 100. That actually might be an oversight because I think the other one made it. But I do love this album. When I did my 94 deep dive, I think I had it like at 4 stars. Okay, Repeater by Fugazi. So yeah, I mentioned that before, how this was the other Fugazi album. I do love this album. Excellent album. Did not listen to that, but I think this is like the second or third album by them. So I do need to do a deeper dive. Okay, excellent album. I probably would personally have this as my number one album. And I probably have Fear of Black Planet by Public Enemy as number two. But but yeah, it's good. Let's see what's number one. Okay, Black on Both Sides, Mos Def. This is an excellent album. That's definitely made my top 100. But I wonder, I don't remember seeing Black Star. So that's a bit of a surprise. Like, yeah, so, but yeah, it is an excellent album. But yeah, Black Star, if it did not make it, that's a bit of a surprise. And I think I only seen one Public Enemy. Um, so that's a surprise as well. I'm trying to think of what else I didn't see that I would have had on the list. No Bad Religion, so that's a bit of a surprise. So yeah, I'm probably as soon as I hit stop, a bunch of other albums are gonna pop on my list. But yeah, there is obviously a number of albums that made this list that did not make my top 100. Um, But yeah, it gives you an idea. Also, I guess it's not a super surprise, but I love like A Ghost of Tom Joad by Bruce Springsteen. That did not make this list. Nothing by Annie DeFranco. And then I mentioned, well, no Slater Kinney. That's a surprise. I mentioned how I had a Bikini Kill album and a Huggy Bear album. Those artists made it. But once again, some of those albums, maybe just to use protest in the descriptor. But yeah, this is the Rate Your Music list. What did you think of it? What are your favorite protest albums of the 90s? So please feel free to leave in the comments. And if you want me to continue to make videos, like and subscribe. So thanks for watching and please stay safe.
Fudge you, I won't do what you tell me. Fudge you, I won't do what you tell me. Fudge you, I won't do what you tell me. Fudge you, I won't do what you tell me. But I fudge you,